I call Matt King.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Here we go. A Land Transport Management Regional Fuel Tax Amendment Bill. We oppose it. We oppose it. I think that we're going to be talking a lot about tax this term, aren't we? Well, we've got a Labor government. We're going to be debating tax a lot. I can see it. I can feel it in my bones. So they're going to apply a petrol and diesel tax, not LPG, collect the distribution level, 10 cents, maximum 10 cents a litre, and have it over 10 years. Labor, let's tax this.
That's right.
But what are they going to use it for? They're going to build a tram line from the Auckland CBD to the Prime Minister's electorate, as they promised in the by-election, over $2 billion worth. The last thing Aucklanders need is a new fuel tax, making it more expensive to get to work, school and around the neighbourhood. Fuel tax. It's not as necessary that this government's just letting Auckland Council off the hook for its runaway costs. Current funding shortfalls should be the responsibility of Council, maybe with some central government help. Auckland Council's spending has increased by $800 million over the last 4 years. The increase in the wages bill alone over that time is more than this fuel tax can raise in the first year. This government's solution is to let Auckland Council tax its way out of this problem. Labor has promoted this policy as an Auckland fuel tax, but this bill opens up the ability for other regions around the country to introduce fuel taxes by 2021. This legislation will encourage the same tax and spend behaviour at the local level as we're seeing from this government. Unlike other new taxes, Labor is proposing there is no standard select committee process, not even a working group, given the timeline that Phil Twyford is working to. That's really surprising given the government's love of working groups. Parliament is being asked to rush this bill through the House. That's becoming a common theme with this government. The Ministry... Yes, the Ministry of Transport... You can't get it right. You cannot get it right. The Ministry of Transport Impact Report says a cost-benefit analysis has not been done and that fuel companies have not had time to accurately quantify the costs of collection of this regional fuel tax. The consultation process has been a sham. Under a national government, we were able to live within our means while still investing in major projects such as the Waterview Tunnel, 3 lanes each way, not 2, rail electrification and the Western Ring Route. Regional taxes impose significant compliance costs to businesses and road users and would result in much higher fuel prices for motorists in some regions. I want to quote Chief Executive of the Road Transport Forum, Ken Shirley, says, and I quote, "The imposition of a regional fuel tax is a retrograde step that will hinder rather than help the government's infrastructure plans. They are a complete nonsense, they are inefficient, full of loopholes and exclusions, and therefore the impact on motorists is often inequitable and the revenue gathered underwhelming." So lower income, fairness and equity, let's talk about that. Lower income households will contribute a higher proportion of their income to the tax compared with higher income households. The AA estimates the Auckland fuel tax will add an extra annual $135 cost for the average motorist. Daryl Evans from the Mangere Budgeting and Family Support Chief Executive said the city's poorest families will be amongst those hardest hit as the new tax increases petrol prices. Okay. In New Zealand, a regional fuel tax framework was put in place in the major urban areas in the early 1990s and was repealed after price spreading occurred between the regions. For some of these reasons I've outlined, and I've not outlined them all, I'll leave it for other speakers, we oppose this legislation.
Just before I call the next member, I just want to encourage members in the House. We have been a parliament this term for 6 months, and I would encourage all members not to read speeches. I'll call the Honourable Julianne Genter.
Tēnā koe, Madam Speaker. Tēnā koutou e te whare. I think that the speech